Welcome to Biz Dev Live. My name is Cameron Toth, and I am excited to bring you Victor Dedaj today. We're going to be talking about success principles, and I think my favorite quote from his takeaways today is: "You can't pay somebody, right? You can't have somebody do your push-ups for you." And I think this is really relevant because a lot of times we're told in book after book, delegate and push things off. Get things off your plate. One of my favorite books, 4 Hour Work Week with Timothy Ferriss, right? He talks about, focus on what you love to do. But there are certain pieces to your success. If you want to have a great looking body, you can't have somebody else do your push-ups for you. And so that is what today is all about. Success principles. Stay with us. We'll be right back after the Biz Dev Live theme.
Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. Weekdays at 11 Eastern Time, live. Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. Weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration, Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. Business development, not even selling it. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is business development, not even selling it. Business development, not even selling it. Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. Biz Dev Live. This is business development, not even selling it.
All right. So Victor Dedaj is passionate about helping people succeed. He's a certified Canfield trainer of success principles and best-selling award-winning author. He is about achieving great things in life, right? Achieving great things in life takes inspiration and structure. So that's exactly what Victor provides. He's not just an author and a success coach. He's also a health and wellness coach, global internet entrepreneur, social media expert, and motivational speaker. Before he transitioned to entrepreneurship and internet marketing, Victor worked in the corporate world for 2 decades as a performance analyst in finance. He leverages expertise in corporate training and combines it with his personal experience to provide others with invaluable tools and insight, not only through his services, but also through his work as an author and a speaker. Victor is the author of the book, You Can Become Successful, and a contributing author in Mark Hoberson's book, The $1 Million Day, as well as Jack Canfield's book, Success Breakthroughs. Additionally, he is the author of Dating Destiny with Nate O'Brien. Victor is also the host of the popular podcast, Entrepreneurs Visiting Victor, where he interviews successful entrepreneurs from all over the world. Thank you so much for being on the show with me today, Victor.
Thanks for having me on, Cameron. It's a real pleasure being on the show today.
Absolutely. So I talked a little bit about your obviously your experience with being an author and a coach. How do you help people right now?
Well, basically, I think one of the reasons why people don't succeed is a few reasons. Number one is their mindset. Number one, you can know all the things you need to do to become successful, but if you don't have the proper mindset, you're going to find a way to self-sabotage yourself. That really happens a lot. Number two, I teach them how to take responsibility for their lives. You are ultimately responsible for your success. If you expect other people to be responsible for your success, your boss, the government, the economy, the weather, you are not going to be successful. You need to take full charge of your own success. And I teach them, number one, you have to be focused. You have to be persistent. Don't give up. Surround yourself with successful people. And very important, I stress to them, you need to be held accountable. So get yourself an accountability partner and get yourself a coach or mentor, which is one of the things I am.
So talk to me about little Victor, right? You're growing up. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in New York City in the Bronx.
Okay, so you're in the Bronx. So I grew up between New York City and Manhattan and Southern California. So we got a little bit of commonality. From 7 years old, I was in New York City. So you grew up in the Bronx. Talk to us about sort of your motivations, what you were thinking about. What was little Victor thinking about getting into? Because I can't imagine you were thinking of like 5, 7 years old. I want to grow up and be a coach, especially a success coach, right? So talk to me about what was going on in your head then.
Oh, you are absolutely right about that. When you're a kid, you have all kinds of different dreams. I was a big music lover. I was a big fan of the Beatles. So I loved listening to the Beatles and rock and roll music. So one of the things I dreamed about doing was becoming a successful rock singer or rock guitarist. So those are some of the things I enjoy doing, or maybe being an astronaut, and all kinds of interesting things. But as time went on, obviously my dreams changed. But yeah, when you're a kid, you're one thing I realized as a child was you have all kinds of dreams. You have limitless dreams because that's the way kids are. We like to think of all kinds of incredible things. We have an incredible imagination. And then something seems to happen as we go through school, as we go through elementary school, junior high school, we start being taught to think there to be realistic, to limit our goals and our dreams. But I wanted to be all kinds of things. I wanted to have $1 billion. I wanted to sail the world. I wanted to do all kinds of things when I was 7, 8 years old. And so those are some of the things I want to do. Yeah.
I identify that too. There's this moment where my dad, we're in one of his favorite places to go out and eat. I can't even remember exactly what age I was. I was probably like 7 or 8 at the time, and maybe 10 potentially. And he asked me, what do I want to be when I grow up? And without hesitation, I said rich, right? And he was looking for, a career role or something along those lines. And, my answer was rich. And so I often talk about that in my story, because even though that's where I wanted to go, a lot of my actions, especially into my teen years, didn't really fall in line. If that's where I wanted to be, if that's where I wanted to go, what was I actually doing? What kind of action was I taking to actually get there? And, the answer to that question was I wasn't taking a lot of good steps towards it. So I know we'll get into that today. So you're a small guy. You're thinking you want to be rich. So what ended up happening? What's going on with your parents? What's going on with your education?
All right. So overall, I was a very good student throughout school, from the first grade on, throughout up to the end of high school. So one thing that happened to me was when I was 12 years old, I was hit by a car. I broke my thigh bone. I was in traction for a month, and then 2 months I spent home recovering, because the thigh bone or the femur is the biggest bone in your body. So my entire left leg was put in a cast, as well as half of my right leg, and I had a big stick connecting the two. So pretty much I was out of action for 3 months. But at the time, I didn't realize how lucky I was. I was very upset, and I felt like this is so unfair to me. But I realized, looking back, I was very lucky that I survived. And I realized from that incident that I was kept alive for a better purpose. So it took me a while to figure out what that purpose was, but I realized I need to do something with my life. So that car accident.
That's a young age to start having some of those kind of epiphany kind of thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So that's definitely something I learned. So, so I figured over the years what it was. Throughout high school, I was the regular thing, get a job, work in an office. And when I went to college, that's the thing I focused on, trying to get a job in the corporate world, because everything said you got to get a job, wear a suit, get a white collar job, get your degree, and just, spend 30, 40 years working in the office, and you'll be taken care of. So that was the path that I followed, just the path millions of other people in this country follow.
And so what did you do? So where did you go?
Okay, so when I went to college, so I got a degree in accounting, and then I got a job working in operations. So I did that for a few years, and then I switched to becoming a performance analyst. And I did this over the course of, like you said, almost 2 decades. And I enjoyed the work I did for most of the time I was there. One of the good things that I had was most of my bosses were very good. Although my final job, one of my jobs, I did have a really bad boss. And I can tell you, it makes a big difference in how much you enjoy your job if you have a good boss or a bad boss. If you have a bad boss, even if you like everyone else, you're not really going to enjoy your job. But what happened years later, and this started around 2008, there was a big.
Let me just stop on that moment, because I think a lot of people get confused too with their career. And let's say you're watching this and you're in a place where you're really happy. Are you happy because you're around people that support you and take care of you, or are you happy because of what you're doing? And a lot of times, both of those things could be there. You're happy because the people are awesome and you're doing something that you care about. But a lot of times it's kind of a one or other thing, right? I'm doing work that's really meaningful, but I don't really love the people I'm around. Or you know, I love the people I'm around, but I'm not doing work that's really meaningful, right? And so it's tough because we can have these different experiences. I could go and work with a nonprofit. I'm mission centered. I'm in it. I love work, but it's a horrible experience. The pay isn't great. The people, you know, maybe the media people I'm working with are great because their hearts are in the right place, but I'm working, you know, with a government organization and they're horrible. And so I got all this right. And so we can confuse sort of some of these experiences with, oh, this is my passion. I love to do that, but I don't want to do that because I didn't enjoy doing that. Right. And it gets really murky and complicated when you start sort of having these what goes into actually having a successful career and workplace and all these pieces to it. It's not a there's certainly no silver bullet, you know, fix for this stuff. You know, aligning your passion, and we've talked a lot about it on this show, right? You know, finding your passion. If you're doing something that you enjoy, you're not, you know, you'll never work a day in your life. And while that's, you know, a trite message, right? It's one of those things that you know, is there work to do? Are there push-ups to do? As the theme of this show is, right? You know, there probably is, and you may not love doing those push-ups, even though you love the results, right? So, talk to me. You get into these career roles, and you're moving forward, and what's going on?
All right, so you brought up some very good points there. Number one, if you really hate the kind of work you're doing, you're probably not going to be too happy in it. So I think for me, it's a combination of the two. You really need to enjoy the people you work with, and you got to enjoy the kind of work you did. And for most of my career, I will say I definitely enjoyed the kind of work I did. I learned a lot of great things. I made a lot of great friendships, and I keep in touch with a lot of people I knew in the corporate world. So we're still friends. We still hang out from time to time. Now, what happened for me was, and this is one of the reasons why eventually I became an entrepreneur, was number one, in 2008, I think a lot of people remember there was a really horrible market crash. Now, I was at my final job in the corporate world. I was there for a year, and actually at the end of my first year, I was actually there for 5 years. They let go. It was a very small company, about 35 people. They let go about 15% of the people. They slashed our pay 15%, and basically the message was you should be thankful you still have a job. And it really hit me at the time that I had very little control of the things going on around me. No matter how hard I work or how well I did, I could be let go at any minute. So I started looking around and thinking about maybe I should try something else. Now, I did not do that immediately. But I started thinking about that over the next few years because it made me realize that sometimes these players can be very cold-hearted. They see people, especially upper management, can sometimes see people as numbers instead of people because for many companies, their biggest expense is labor. So over the last few years, I started thinking about it. I started looking into things, but I never really took full action. So 2013, when I was let go from the company. Again, there was some issues going on financially. Some people let go. And finally, I said to myself, you know what? I felt great when I got let go because now I was able to focus on what I really wanted to do. And entrepreneurship seems to be the way to go because number one, it gave me more freedom. I could do more things that I want to do. And I'm in control over what happens to me, not people above me. So that's one of the main reasons why I switched careers because I wanted to have more control over my life.
I love that. And so, how did you end up getting control of your life?
Well, when I started was number one, I had not taken a break in 20, so I took a little break, which was really good, and it was really good for my mind. And I started thinking more clearly. Then I just started doing a lot of research, looking at a bunch of different opportunities. And I could tell you, in the beginning, I had to work on my mindset because number one, I had an employee mindset my entire career, so I was used to having people tell me what to do. And I realized I needed to change my mindset. That took some time. And also, I was entering a field which I didn't know a whole lot about. And when you try something new, you're going to make mistakes. So I could say, for the people out there listening to this show, whatever you try to do, you're going to make mistakes because there's always a learning curve. But whatever you do,
remind us again, what field were you entering into?
I was going into entrepreneurship.
So, well, I mean, what were you doing?
I started out in network marketing.
Okay. And so you were selling like multi-level marketing kind of company, or
Yeah, it was network marketing or multi-level marketing. I started out with services, then I switched to health and wellness. And I could tell you one of the mistakes I made, and whatever you do, whether you go into entrepreneurship, network marketing, or anything else, focus on one thing at a time. I wound up joining 4 companies at once. I got overwhelmed, paralyzed. I didn't know what to do, and I made money in none of them. So instead of having multiple streams of income, I have multiple streams of debt. So I can't stress enough. Focus on one thing at a time.
No, I think that's great advice. And I think a lot of people, I know for me, as I was searching for something, right, and I had gotten into a conversation with a guy in a gym locker room, and he said, hey, you want to be a businessman, and I ended up in this hotel room in Yonkers, and everybody's rah, and they're I forget even now. It wasn't Amway. It was some other company, but they had a store, and the whole pitch was, you could, pay the stores, or you can pay yourself, and you can build this business. You can bring people in, and then, your upline and all this stuff. And right. And so it was really interesting because, there's a lot of great information. And, one of the ways that network marketers, successful network marketers will make money is they'll sell all of these sales tools and things to you. And, it's really can be beneficial to your mindset, because there's a lot of, positivity that comes out of these meetings and all that kind of stuff. But the actual business piece can be very, very challenging and very difficult. And if you're not really built for it, it can end up being a suck and a drain versus something that's actually net positive for your life. And I think a lot of people wind up there, and there are a few people do well with it, and they're able to, really master it and move forward with it. But there's a lot of the reason I think there's a big negative reputation for a lot of the MLM companies out there is that very few percentage wise actually do well with it. And it's really interesting because it gets pitched as entrepreneurship, but it's a little bit different, right? If you go out and start out your own company, and you're getting licensed, or you're getting your corporate structure in place, and you're incorporating, and you're registering with the town hall, it's a little bit different than what the MLM thing is. And so I think it's one of those confusing pieces for folks that are trying to make the leap from, full-time day job working with a corporation to quote unquote entrepreneurism. And it's really interesting because in what we're talking about today, in terms of those push-ups, there's a lot of companies out there that'll say, hey, we'll do the push-ups for you. Don't believe it, right? You got to do the push-ups, right? And it may be, hard sales and hitting the ground, and maybe a lot of walking around. They may have tools that you can use, but at the end of the day, you're the one that has to use them. There's nobody that's going to do it for you. And they'll tell you that, but it'll be dressed in some fancy window dressing, right?
Yeah. And I agree with a whole lot of what you're saying there. Number one, if a company tells you you're going to make $1 million in network marketing company your first week, start running. Stay away from those kind of companies. And some of those companies are the type of companies that you say will sometimes give this industry a bad name. The majority of those companies are not like that. So they will tell you need to put in the time, the effort. You got to do hard work, and it takes time. Especially if you're new to this business, you don't have that credibility. Like if you've been in the industry 5-10 years, you have success, you'll be able to get more people to join you. You'll be able to sell more of the products. But if you're brand new, just like in anything you try brand new, you don't have that reputation. You don't have that credibility. It's going to take time. And anyone tells you as soon as they got started, they became super, super successful, I'm very skeptical of it. There are some people in their first year who do 6 figures in it. But I would say the majority of them probably don't. It takes 2, 3, 4 years. You have to be patient, and you got to follow the training and get yourself a good sponsor. Look at the company. Do the research on the company. If you're looking at network marketing, right now, you can go on Google, you can research all these companies. There's so much information that can tell you if it's a good company or it's a bad company. There are organizations that rate these companies. There's websites like Behind MLM will tell you which are the good companies and which are the scams. And one thing I could recommend to people is that if you're looking at a company, try to find one with a proven track record. A lot of the new companies that pop up, probably the vast majority of them are good companies, but the problem is they often don't last. But if you find a company that's been around at least 10 years, chances are they're going to last a long time. So I would recommend to people, find the companies that have been around for decades.
Yeah,
And
and I agree with that. I mean, I think it's one of those things too, right? It's a situation of just what you were talking about in terms of reputation, right? So do I want to work with somebody that's got a proven track record, or do I want to work with somebody that is new on the block? And there can be advantages, I know um, financially speaking, in terms of making investments, it's not a bad idea to sort of be on the lookout for interesting ideas. I regret, kids were telling me in 2009, 2010, hey, there's this Bitcoin thing. And I didn't know anything about it. And I was hesitant. All right. It was like, this seems kind of scammy to me. And the thing that I've sort of learned since is, it doesn't hurt to take some throwaway money and put it into some investments. And you have to make the decision on what, throwaway money is for you. If you're wealthy, throwaway money may be $20,000 you can invest into a company. If you're less wealthy, $50, $100. At the time that they were talking to me, could I have spared $50 or $100 to put into Bitcoin? Would have it turned into a really great investment? It would have. The lesson there isn't that, oh, Cameron, what a sucker, what a fool you are. The lesson is, hey, it pays to take some risks sometimes. I think calculated things where you understand, not much loss, potentially a lot gained, is spending $50, $100 on something a good learning experience, right? Would you take a class for that much? And so if some of those answers are yes, then that's probably a good bet. That's probably a good risk, right? Would you pay $20,000, to get this kind of experience? And depending on what level you are at, where you're at in life, some of those decisions make more sense. Certainly we see people driving around in very expensive cars, and you say, what kind of value does that bring to your life? Now, if you're somebody that doesn't really value cars like that, it doesn't make sense to you to spend $60,000, $80,000 on a car. But if that's the thing that brings you joy, if that's the thing that lights you up and gets you excited, and that's your goalpost, and that, then it makes a little bit more sense. And I think everything is kind of like that in life. For me, I don't drive very fancy cars. That's not where I'm at. But I don't knock somebody else that, is excited about that. And so everybody has, in terms of their investment portfolio, where they spend their time, their own sort of risk assessment, right? Their level of risk. And I think that's important. So talk to me about, you went into these 4 different multi-level marketing opportunities. Obviously it wasn't the right move, too many distractions, not enough focus. So what was the next?
All right, so I, because of that experience, because I didn't do well in it, I left the network marketing industry for a while. I went into e-commerce. I did that for a couple of years, and I also started learning a lot about mindset and personal development. That actually started when I was in network marketing, and that's one of the good things I like about the industry. It really focuses a lot on personal development, which I think is very important. So when I left, I went to e-commerce. I got a little tired after a while of some of the things that go on, because you're doing stuff on eBay, Amazon, and I also did something called Shopify, which you need to run ads on Facebook. And Facebook can be a pain in the neck dealing with that, because sometimes your ads get disallowed, you can lose your account. So it's frustrating dealing with those things, and sometimes it's not always easy picking a winner. So I eventually got tired of it, and I went back to network marketing, number one. Number two, I started looking into doing my own coaching, because I developed a lot of knowledge over the years. And then that's when I met Jack Canfield about almost 6 years ago. He was doing an event in New Jersey, which is right across the river from here. And I really enjoyed the event. And I started signing up for more of his classes. And then I signed up to become a trainer, which was a 2-week intensive course, live with him every single day, doing a lot of things, giving a lot of talks and practicing how to become a coach. And From that, I became a certified coach through Jack Canfield. And in the meantime, I came back to the network marketing industry. And one of the reasons I came back to is because in my first go around, I really did not understand a lot about the industry. Number one, I was focused more on just getting people in, trying to make money off of them. But I realized in the long run, the people that are successful in network marketing are the ones that help other people succeed. So if you bring people into the organization, you have to help them succeed. You have to help the people underneath them succeed. It's a multi-level thing. And the more people you help succeed, the more successful you can become. But if you don't focus on helping them succeed, if you just focus on trying to get people in and you don't focus on helping them become successful, guess what? Those people will eventually leave and you won't make any money. And also, you need to focus on selling products. So it's not just bringing in people, you're also focusing on selling the products as well. So
And I
the focus
love
really on helping
that
people.
piece of it because we talked about it before, where you just have people in and a large amount of people that come in, they don't do well percentage wise, and so your focus is on bringing those numbers up at least within your own connections, and that's amazing, right? So I think that's something where it actually adds value to people when you're coaching them and helping them with the business. I love that. And for folks that aren't familiar with Canfield, Jack Canfield, he's the guy that did the chicken soup, right?
Chicken soup for the soul.
Yeah, there we go. Chicken soup for the soul series. And so he's a professional coach and certifies other coaches. And so you're a certified Jack Canfield coach. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the other thing I wanted to mention about network marketing is a lot of people don't realize this, but the way that it's paid, the way they pay people is similar to the way it's done in real estate. You pay agents, they get a commission. So the pay structure is similar in network marketing. So people wondering, is it legit? It is, because if you think real estate is legitimate, so is network marketing. So again, it takes a lot of work. A lot of people don't succeed just like they don't succeed in real estate. And one thing I always tell people when they get into the industry is, I recommend a book written by a very successful network marketer who passed away a few years ago. His name was Mark Yarnell. It's called Your First Year in Network Marketing. And in it talks about the ups and the downs of your first year, the great things that can happen, but also the pitfalls, the negativity you got to deal with. People are going to, tell you to get lost. People are going to say you're doing all kinds of things. Because I think a lot of people, when they get into the industry, they just think everything's going to be hunky-dory. But there are going to be some downsides to it. So this book tells you to expect good things, but also to expect some bad things. Have a more realistic view when you're getting involved in your first year. So when you do experience it, you won't give up and say, "Oh, this is not for me," because you come to expect it. So that's one thing the final thing I would just say about the industry. Now, getting back to Jack Canfield, this guy I think is an incredible teacher. One of the things I loved about this guy is this guy's made many millions of dollars, but he's very down to earth, and he's very easy to approach. And I really resonated with him because I came up to him, I talked to him, I took pictures with him, and I love this entire team. This is a team that really wants to help people, and that's one of the things I really love about his community. He's an incredible teacher, but he's also someone focused on the other person. I think that's one of the keys to success. You got to focus on helping and serving people. Focus on solving their problems, because in the end, the other people don't care about what you have going on for you. They don't care how they can make money for you. They care about, how can you help me solve my problems? I'm in debt right now. I can't. I'm struggling at the shop. I need more money, because that's all they care about. How can you help them? And if you focus on what you can do for the other person, you become other person focused, you're going to be a lot more successful. And one of the books I recommend is Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, because it teaches you how to be a better listener, focus on the other person. And those that are really good listeners are the ones that are going to be more successful, because when that person feels heard, he feels like you care about them. This person says, you know what, this is a good person. I can trust this person. But if they sense you're only in it for yourself, they only want money for them, that they're only a transaction to you, people can sense that they're much more likely to leave you. So you need to be focused on how you can help them, how you can transform them, how you can make things better for them. Because people have problems that need to be solved, and they want to know, can you help me solve my problem? Can you help me make my life better? If you can show them that you can, then they'll do business with you.
And just shout out to Jordan Mendoza, who's somebody's definitely on that wavelength of helping people. Appreciate you, Jordan. And talk to me, just in terms of, the class that you went through, what in terms of your work getting certified, what tools did they give you in order for you to go out and feel comfortable coaching others?
Well, number one, the first week, Jack spent a lot of time, and he had some of his assistant people help him teach as well, teaching us the entire week. Number one. Number two, we often broke up into little groups. Number three, we broke up into our mastermind group. And if you've never done a mastermind group, I highly recommend it because it's very powerful. They're usually people of diverse backgrounds, and they share. They help each other out with ideas and how to do things better because there's a lot of synchronicity in a mastermind group. So we did that. We broke up into little groups discussing things because it's not just learning the things, but you actually need to practice it. If you don't practice the things you learn, you're wasting your time. So we spent a lot of time that first week practicing the things, breaking up into little groups. We had a couple of homework assignments as well. Then we came back.
This is the push-ups, right?
The push-ups, yeah.
You know, and just I want you to keep going with your story, but I just wanted to bring in this because I've been hiring people for a long time, and so you can always tell when somebody hasn't done the push-ups. I have, in my history, been a bartender, and so went to bartending school, and then you go through bartending school, you learn all of these drinks, all these recipes. And so the only reason I remember them is that I, quote unquote, did the push-ups. I went out and actually used those skills. I had the benefit of going out. One of my first jobs was on World Yacht, which sails around New York City, 4-hour cruises. So you're there head down, just making one drink after another. And so I made so many of the drinks that I learned in bartending school. If I had not, I would have forgotten a lot of that information. But making those drinks and doing the repetition of it, that was the push-ups that to this day, I still remember a lot of those drinks that I would make in just over and over and over again during that time. And I test bartenders on a lot of that knowledge still. Those push-ups allow you to have mastery. And whether you're talking about the mental dexterity of being able to answer those things really quickly. And that's what I test my bartenders on. I know that they've done the push-ups. If they can fire off those answers to me really quickly. Similarly, if you could tell when somebody hasn't been doing the push-ups with their body, right? You can tell, right, if the work is there. And so I think a lot of the challenge with folks is they want the acclaim, they want the position, but they're not willing to necessarily do those push-ups. So you're going through this coaching course and they're giving you the repetitions, they're giving you the practice so that you can apply this knowledge effectively.
No, absolutely. And you brought up a couple of really good points there. There are a lot of people who are in love with the idea of success, but are not willing to do the things that are necessary to become successful. And the other thing is there's a big difference between theory and practice. There are a lot of people who know all the theory behind everything, but don't do the practice. And you only get good by doing the practice, by doing the exercises. That's how you get better at everything. If you don't take action on it, again, like I said before, you are wasting your time. The successful people don't just learn everything. They just go out and practice it. They take the action necessary because that's how you learn. You're going to make mistakes, but you learn from your mistakes, and that's how you get better doing everything. So whatever endeavor you try, you have to just practice. That's how you hone your craft. Now, getting back to the 2-week course with Jack Canfield, the second week we went back. Again, we learned things. We broke up into groups, but we did 2 additional things. Number one, we had to do individual presentations, and we were graded by different people, Jack and his 2 partners there. And the next thing we needed to do is we had to do a group presentation, which required a lot of work. So that was more practicing the things we needed to do. Individual presentation and group presentation. So it was a lot of work, but it was a great learning experience because we realized we had to do the work, and Jack made us do the work. So that's how we got better at it, because he had us practice, especially during that second week. So it was a great learning experience because it wasn't just all theory. It was a lot of practicing the exercise. I think it's one of the reasons why we got better at what we did. And he gave us the slides that he uses to do his presentations on the success principles. So I'm able to utilize many of his slides as well, which is really helpful.
Love that. And I was doing a program. I was attending a virtual conference, and there was a woman on there. Of course, the name's going to evade me, which is terrible, but she was amazing because she's somebody that puts slides together for professional presenters and trainers. And I thought it was amazing because until you come across a lot of things in the world, you don't even know they exist. And I think, a lot of what this show is all about is connecting people. So if you're interested in that, if you're watching this, hit me in the contacts and I'll go through my records and I'll get that name for you. But there is a person out there that can, if you're not great at putting slides together, but you're a good speaker and you're a good trainer, and you want some impressive slides, there's a person for you that's going to put together some really great slides for you. A lot of talk in terms of, there's presentations that you can put together with a lot of words. We don't want to do that, right? The way people learn, visual images. Don't put your whole talk on the slide, right? You're just trying to get a point across, and so your slide should be an assist, not necessarily the whole text, right? And so I think it's really incredible because as you're kind of going through the world, you get in touch with these resources. Obviously, you went through a course that helped you become a better mentor, a better coach for folks. And so, just the idea that exists, right? A lot of people don't necessarily know that exists. Oh, I can go and learn how to do that with other people. And maybe potentially that can help me join an organization that goes out and consults and helps people, or I can go do that out on my own. Those are amazing resources, right? And so talk to me about some of the successes that you've had. I'll go get into this first talking point. You're responsible for your own success and no one else is, right? And so we've been talking about this over and over and over again during the show. You can't hire someone to do your push-ups for you. So when you talk about this, what are the things, because I think, the challenging thing is that, again, we get the talk often that we need to be better leaders. We need to delegate. We shouldn't do everything ourselves. So how do you decide? What are the things that I have to do myself? What are the quote unquote push-ups, right? Because I can't pay somebody else to do my push-ups, but inside business and learning and inside my career, desired career path where my success lies, what are the things that I have to do myself and what are the things that I can outsource?
Well, whether you're working in an office or working as an entrepreneur, the thing you need to think about is, what are the things I am the best at that no one else can do, that I am the most productive at, that the things that I do that are going to make me become more successful and make the most money. If you look at the corporate executives, they focus on the things they are the best at, and the low-level things they will delegate. So if you're an entrepreneur, you got to say to yourself, what are the things I need to do? Maybe it's talking to prospects. Maybe it's creating videos. And then you may delegate the things you don't like to do. For example, having someone edit your videos for you, or having someone respond for your email, respond to emails that are sent to you. You have to decide what are the things that are the most critical to me being successful, that I need to focus on, and decide what are the things that are not as critical that you can delegate to other people. And that's something you got to figure out for yourself. But pretty much, you got to figure out what are your what are called IPAs, income producing activities. And that's where you need to focus on. The things that are going to bring in the income, the things that are going to bring in the money to your business, they're going to make you the most sales, they're going to make you the most money. And focus on those things. And the things that don't make you as much money, I mean, they're important to do, but they're really not the things that are going to make you the money, but they need to get done. That's what you can delegate to the people, whether it's employees, virtual assistants, or whatever. So that's what you really need to figure out. What are the things I'm the best at that are going to make me the most money? Focus on those IPAs, and then the other things you can delegate to other people, because you only have 2 arms, you only have 24 hours a day, so you really need to get help. But again, get help on the things that are less important. That's one thing you need to figure out. So that's what I recommend.
I think one of the biggest challenges for me, when I'm sort of going through my day, is exactly that work, but it's the repetitions of doing that exact soul searching. All right, do I need to answer this email, or do I have staff in place to do this? And can they do it as effectively or more effective than I can? Then why am I doing it? Right. And so really getting clear with that so that you can spend more of the time that you need to on those income producing activities, on things that build me, grow me, the quote unquote, the push-ups, right? Let's talk about the second point. You are capable of doing and achieving many great things with your life. What do you mean by that?
I think a lot of people underestimate the things they are capable of. Again, as I mentioned earlier, when you were a little child, you dreamt all kinds of incredible big things. But then over the course of time, because of interaction with your parents, your teachers, society, you started downgrading your dreams. And the thing is, our subconscious mind is so powerful, and our subconscious mind makes the vast majority of the decisions, probably for 90 to 95% of our decisions. And one of the reasons why we don't believe we can do more is because we've sent a lot of negative thoughts and feelings to our subconscious mind, and we don't believe we can do these things. So one of the things I try to teach people and I recommend people do is work on retraining your subconscious mind. It's like your subconscious mind is like a computer. Good things in, good things come out. Garbage in, garbage out. So you need to feed it good stuff. And a lot of people are not aware of the fact that they're sending so much negative messages to the subconscious mind throughout the day. And a lot of it comes from their self-talk. They say, oh, I can't do it. I'm not that good enough. I'm not that smart. I'm not pretty, whatever. And if you watch your self-talk, you'd be amazed at some of the many negative messages you send to yourself. And a lot of it's because when we were growing up, a lot of times we heard the word no. We heard the word no far more often than we heard the word yes. So you need to retrain your subconscious mind. So there are a lot of things you could do. A lot of people do affirmations. That's good. Writing goals are good. Meditation, I think, is very good. Visualization, I think, is an extremely powerful exercise to do. And another thing to do is, number one, surround yourself with positive, strong-minded people. So try to limit your time with negative people. And the other thing, really crucial, is the most important times of the day for influencing your subconscious mind is the first hour you wake up and the last hour before you go to bed, because those are the times your subconscious mind is very impressionable. And that's when you really need to feed it the strong, positive messages. It's going to filter in a lot more because during the course of the regular day, your subconscious mind acts as a guardian that kind of often doesn't let those positive messages go in. So you really need to work on it. You can listen to a lot of great YouTube videos and other kind of motivational videos. You can read a lot of positive books. You can read scripture. So there's a lot of ways you can work on it. And when you can change how you view things, you'll start realizing you're capable of doing a lot more things. And that's why it's also important to surround yourself with successful people, because they will support you in your journey. Because if they've succeeded at it, they will encourage you to believe that you can do it as well.
Well, and let's talk about one, incredible thing that you've done is authored a book, been a part of several other books, right? Talk to us about becoming an author. I think that's a lot of, on a lot of people's bucket lists or goal lists. You've actually done it, right? You've got the book out there. Talk to us about what goes into accomplishing that goal specifically, right? And how people can, sort of focus to get through these large formatic goals, right? Because this is something, especially with the book, it's not something that you can go out and just get done in a day.
Yeah, it takes time, and there are a variety of ways of doing it. Number one, you need to make the decision to write the book. There are a lot of people that want to write the book, but they send these negative messages to themselves saying, "Oh, I can't do it." Yes, you can do it. I really believe just about every person has a book in them. And I read a stat years ago that 81% of the population wants to write a book, but the vast majority of them do not. And the best way to do it really is just to start writing. And you got to allocate some time. You need to, and here's the thing, it's very easy to get distracted. So you got to decide how much time do I want to spend writing each week. It might be an hour, it might be 5 hours, 10 hours. And you need to dedicate that time to just writing it. Now, there are all kinds of apps, timers that say you're going to spend an hour today writing that book. You can do that. Once the hour is done, you stop and then you focus on what the other things you need to do. Number one, just get started. And a lot of people, they don't get started because they want to write the perfect book. Here's the thing, like with everything else, you get better by doing it. When you start writing, you can always update the book. You can make changes. And if you get the book out, guess what? You can come out with version 2 a year later if you realize I want to make some changes to the book. It's like getting a course out. Get the course out. You can make changes. But if you never get the course out, you never get the book out, you can never inspire or influence other people's lives.
Yeah, no, I was talking to somebody the other day who's putting together a website, and it's an update on a current website. And I said, is it already better than the existing website? Why are you waiting to publish it, right? And so many people are waiting. And I think one of the challenges with that too is, okay, you're waiting for it to be right or perfect, but the feedback that would help you to tweak it and tool it, that's waiting for you after you hit the publish button. That's waiting for you after you actually get it out there. And so whether it's just putting it in a lot of people's hands to begin with before you do any kind of formal launch or, announce it to everybody, whatever the case may be, just getting it out there. And especially in those instances where you've already put in a considerable amount of work, what are you waiting for? Let's go, right? Push it. As my buddy Brian Fonzo says, push the damn button already. Let's get it done. So I love that advice. The more people you help and serve, the more people you solve, more problems you solve, the more successful you'll be. There's a great book. Have you read The Go-Giver?
Yeah, by Bob Burg. I actually interviewed him last year. Awesome book.
Yeah. So I think we had talked about that when we met face to face, before this. And this is right in line with, one of his big success principles, which is, by serving more people, you're able to lift up your income. And so that can be a little bit complicated to understand, but the idea that, if you build a service or product and the more people you serve, and the better you serve them, right, the more income that you're potentially going to make. And I think one of the pieces in this in business, because a lot of people, like you were saying, get negative feedback around making money and doing well and prospering. If you have something that somebody needs, it's a great idea to build a great business model around it so that you can continue to do great good with the profits and proceeds from that business. And whether that's turning around and helping their very same customers or another set of humanity that needs it, your ability to do well will be much amplified if you do well. And so it's a great inspirational message to do well in business, because then it allows you a lot of opportunities, a lot of options to actually move forward and do well in the world. So talk to me about this, your understanding of the more people you help and serve and the more problems you solve, the more successful you'll be.
Yeah, you need to have a long-term perspective about this. And that's the thing. If you focus on your customer service, you help the people that are buying from you or the people that are joining your business, you make them happy. Word of mouth is going to get out there. And here's the thing. When people are happy, they're going to tell their friends. And guess what? If people are not happy, they're going to tell all their friends. If you look at Yelp, if you have a bad experience at a restaurant, you are much more likely to write a negative review than if you had a good experience at that restaurant. So you need to take care of your customers, keep them happy. Number two, it's much easier to keep a satisfied customer than to get a new one. It's a lot of work getting a new customer for your business. That's why you need to help them, because you develop a reputation. Everyone starts saying, yeah, this is the person's go-to if you need this done, you need that done. And people just remember, word of mouth gets out there. And it just seems like it follows you around. The more people you help, just like the more success follows you, because everything builds upon itself. Now, getting back to network marketing, the most successful people I've met, they all do the same thing. They keep saying the same thing. Number one, they focus on gratitude. Gratitude, having that gratitude mindset is very important. But they focus on how they're going to bless someone each day, how they're going to help someone succeed each day, how they're going to help them build their business. And then they help these people become successful. They help the people beneath them become successful. They help them become more successful. Number one, these people stay in the business, they're growing their business. And after a while, they don't need to help them because they've helped them so much. They've learned how to do the business. And so they can focus on helping other people become successful. And that team is taking care of things. And they're able to build more teams that are becoming successful. And guess what? Word gets out. This person's helped a lot of people become successful. So a lot of people start reaching out to you who you never heard of before, all because good things come to those that help people. So the more people you help, the more problems you solve, the more money you're going to succeed, the more money you're going to make, because people are going to find out about you. That's the great
thing. We live in a wonderful world today where the word of mouth really travels, and there's more tools and ability. For my private business life, Toth Event Staffing, we're up to 31 reviews on Google, and it's just one of those things. You have to ask for things. If you want to do well in business, you have to go out and you have to ask for the business. And this is serving people. If you don't ask for the opportunity to serve people, you won't get the opportunity to serve people. Not to say that there won't be somebody that stumbles into you that's desperate and in need and you can help them. But if you want to help more people, if you want to have the type of impact that Victor's talking about, that Bob Burg talks about, it's putting yourself in a place where you can help more people, and you don't get there without making yourself accessible and available. And I think that's something that, whether you're talking about the IPAs, I love that term, right? Income producing activities. You don't put yourself in a place to help more people if you don't advertise and announce it. If you're running a business, and I'm listening to The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes right now, great book, and he's talking about, if you're a carpet cleaning company, there's probably other things that you can clean within the home. So getting really systematic with your upsell. It's not you can look at it like, oh, this is a real salesy guy or salesy woman over here. They're just trying to sell me. Or you can look at it as, we are getting in the door and having the opportunity with this one product or service, and we can help people with so much more. So it's one phone call versus several phone calls. We can help their place become healthier. We can help them have a cleaner household. And I mean, if you look across the world, I mean, and it's a silly example, but if you got a cleaner space, right? They talk about people that shower more, make more. That's crazy, right? But it's true. It's one of those kind of things that it just sort of goes with the mode, right? If you want to be a more successful person, you're probably, a more thankful person, right? And so, we can always, put up big examples of people that are hateful and spiteful, but generalities, right? In terms of general numbers, people that are more healthy, they eat healthy, they exercise more, they sleep better, right? And so what do you want to follow? The one outlier that lived to, 103 smoking, every day and drinking scotch, or the overwhelming mass of humanity that if they take care of themselves, they live a much longer life statistically. I think people can always point to the one outlier. Well, that person did well and they didn't graduate high school, right? Listen, I didn't graduate high school. I ended up getting my GED and I did okay, but I advocate for every single young person that I talk to take these steps, to take advantage of the opportunity that they have being young, to take full scope of all of the opportunities that are available to them through the education system, through people just being willing to help them because of their youth and nothing more, right? And I think that's something that is incredibly valuable wherever you are in life, to take advantage of those moments that are really, really opportunity rich. And I think so many times, very much like the stories that they talk about with, God, and, they're sitting there, they're on top of the house and they're saying, oh, I'm praying to you, God, to come and help me. And the boat comes by and the guy waves the boat away, saying, no, God's going to help me. And, the next thing that comes by, somebody, in a helicopter's letting down a ladder, and no, God's going to come and help me. And then he finds himself in front of God. God, why didn't you? Well, I sent a boat, I sent a helicopter, what more do you want from me? And so I think it's really incredible to take advantage of the opportunities that are in front of us. And so we have these phone numbers and all you got to do is dial. We have this social media and all you got to do is post, taking advantage of those opportunities. And I know I'm oversimplifying, but man, oh man, if you ask for it, it will come. And if you care about serving people, you're going to do well.
Yeah. And one thing I would also just add to is, you need to believe in your product or your service. You really believe that you can help people. And you have that belief in your service and your product. You say, I really want to help someone. I can bless them with what I have. That belief and confidence in what you have will come across when you're talking to people. So when you're reaching out to you, let's say, you know what, whether it's a carpet cleaning service, an insurance business, a real estate business, whatever it is, they're going to sense subliminally that you really believe that you can help them, that you have their best interest in heart. So I think it's very important to have that confidence. And again, you got to serve if you want to deserve. So really, a lot of it's that mindset, that gratitude, and all the success people have that. One thing Tony Robbins loves to stress is success leaves clues. So watch what other people are doing, what the successful people are doing, and just try to mimic them. And one thing I've learned from them is that they're all full of gratitude. They're focused on helping people, and they're focused on how I can help solve their problems. And that's just total focus. If they look at people as people instead of transactions, and we see them as a human being, they'll get a sense that it's going to make all the difference in your interaction with them.
Yeah, I believe in that so much. And I also believe in, small, success attracts success. And so,
Hmm.
oh man, the negative mindset, I'm not successful. Man, you are successful. If you're trying to do push-ups, for example, right? Push-ups is the theme of the day. Can you do one push-up? If you can't do a full push-up today, well, do a push-up on your knees, right? And then work to doing one full push-up. And then when if you did a push-up on your knees, man, you did a push-up on your knees, you're successful. Then tomorrow you get to a place where you got one push-up, man, you got one push-up. I think the challenge that people have is that they're sitting there trying to match, my 100 push-ups that I'm doing to their, push up on their knees today. Listen, I didn't start out doing 100 push-ups, right? Nobody does, right? And so you gotta compare your day zero to somebody else's day zero, not their day, 1,000. If you're comparing yourself to Tony Robbins or Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or Jay-Z or Beyonce or Oprah, right? You're not going to have that mindset that you are a success. But if you have the mindset that I'm going to make a phone call that's going to be an income producing activity today, and then I get to scratch off that goal because I actually did it, that's a big deal. And that's how you move forward, and that's how you build on success. I think you'll agree with that, Victor, right?
Absolutely. And I think this comparative side is comparing yourself to super successful people is going to make you feel unworthy. You're going to feel like so low, so beneath them. That's why you never compare yourself to Oprah or Tony Robbins or Warren Buffett or Bill Gates, any of those guys, those people that work billions of dollars. Here's the thing, if you compare yourself to other people, you will eventually become bitter. But if you compare yourself to yourself, you'll become better. Like you said, focus on where I was today compared to where I was last week. Absolutely. If you made an improvement, as long as you're improving, you're doing better. And I think a lot of people are impatient because we're in this instant gratification economy. We want everything to happen yesterday, but make slow, steady improvements. The compound effect is very important. You may have heard that example. What would you rather have, $1 million or penny double over 31 days? Now, penny double over a few days is only 1 cent and 2 cents, 4 cents, 8 cents. It doesn't seem like a lot of money. So a lot of people would take $1 million. But because of compounding, at the end of 31 days, you would have had $10 million. If you took $1 million, you would have lost $9 million by taking the $1 million. So
this is the idea of, do you want, one big gain or do you want consistent gains over time? And I think that we can all agree, if we're getting better every day, we're a completely different person in a year, and we're in a completely different place. And a lot of us, including myself, there's a lot of Netflix going on. There's a lot of stuff. And so we kind of get in our own way, but if we can get focused and we can improve ourselves every day, I'm going to go back to the income producing activities. You want to add income, got to make sure you got income producing activities. I was having this conversation with a gentleman running a nonprofit yesterday. You want to make sure there's money to fund your role. You want to make sure there's money to fund your nonprofit. Well, is there any activity in your daily activities that are income producing, right? And if there aren't, well, there's your answer, right? That's why your organization is not bringing in the income, because you're not doing those activities that actually bring in income. And so that's important. And you may need to get some consultation with somebody to help you to get there. And so that's a great segue. How can people get in touch with you, Victor? I know I have your LinkedIn address in the description of this video, but how else can they get in touch with you, and who should get in touch with you? And then we'll wrap up with the BizDev Live theme.
Yeah, they can get in touch with me on LinkedIn. They can also reach out to me on Facebook. Those are the two platforms I am on the most. And if they want to email me, they can email me at victordedaj@victordedaj.org.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for this, Victor. Have an amazing day, everybody. I'll see you on Thursday of this week. If you're watching on the replay, make sure you hit hashtag replay. Take care.
BizDev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time, live. BizDev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. BizDev Live, business development, not even selling it. BizD with C, brought to you by Cameron T. BizD with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is business development, not even selling it. Dev Live, Biz Dev Live.